Song I wish I'd written. Probably Strawberry Fields by the Beatles, John Lennon. To me, that's one of the... I mean, it's so insane when you look at that song because it's such a brilliant song, and yet it was a single. And I think that's the type of thing that people miss sometimes, especially in modern rock culture. If you put on any alternative rock station these days, most of the songs are so predictable. It's like a lot of the action movies. It's like, the hero always lives. It's like it stopped at some point being this exploration. And unfortunately, in rap and electronic music, you see the constant reinvention. And somehow rock is just stuck. And they'll take influences, so-and-so will have a beat on their record and a DJ, but it's the same shit, So when it's confusing to me, having been part of a generation that sort of brought a bunch of new influences into the mainstream, that those influences haven't necessarily evolved. They've been kind of codified and kind of idealized, but they haven't been actually morphed forward into something. I mean, if you want to be technical about it, this form of music we're playing really should be archaic at this point. By definition, between every previous generation, this music should sound like 90s music, and it actually sounds fairly contemporary because it just hasn't moved forward. So that's pretty shocking to me as a rock historian. So,
how about Nick? I got the dumbass question of the day.
Do you want to go last? Or?
No, ever since I was 14, I bought a bootleg of y'all playing a show in Hamburg, Germany. You played Let Me Give the World to You. And it's probably one of my favorite songs. Are you guys actually ever going to release the original version from the door? Soon? I guess in the reissue, maybe? Hell yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a Rick Rubin. The great Rick Rubin produced the original version of Let Me Give the World to You. Shockingly, it's never been bootlegged. But yeah, it's being prepared for the Adore reissue.
That's awesome.
Sure.
Well, first, thanks for having us. This is
Sure.
easy. We're actually just wondering what you sing to yourself when you're alone, like in the shower. Your own music, or are you inspired?
I don't know. I don't really sing in the shower.
No.
I still, even to this day, don't really see myself as a singer. I see myself more as a musician. So my mind is constantly thinking about songs or breaking down other music, but I don't know. Becoming a singer is still something that's like a work in progress for me. It still feels kind of strange because I wasn't raised to be a singer. I was more raised to be a guitar player. And I sang in choir and stuff, but they always say, "Oh, your voice is too funny." And like when I would sing in choir, they put me at alto tenor, but I could sing as high as the girls, so I would sing with all the girls' parts, and the choir teacher just lost her mind because she could hear. Because and I say this with humility, my nieces who are like 10 and 6, they have that same quality of voice that my mother had. It's a very cutting, it's good for rock music. But like if I'll be in the car with my nieces, their voices are so loud because it's just in the Corgan voice. So it's like, oh my God, this voice. So, you can imagine even at 16 I would be in the choir and she's standing there and I know my voice because it's the same thing with recording. If we can put, they can tell you, we'll do blends with, some of the blends in Oceano have 3 other people on the track and you can have 9 of their voices and you put 1 of me and you can hear me. So it's a weird frequency thing. Okay, one more?
How about Joe?
Yes, bands like Smashing Pumpkins, Rush, Pink Pantera taught me the value of music and a good artist and a good album. Few people my age tend to share the 7th sentiment, and I was wondering if you think that is the constant actually in the music industry, or that there's some sort of quality of the music industry that lends itself towards this rap.
Well, that's a really complicated question that a lot of people have yet to figure out. It's sort of like, chicken or the egg. Has the greed of the music business set up a energetic paradigm where artists have become calculated against a calculating force? In essence, look at something like American Idol. If you watched American Idol for 10 years and you're gonna go try out for American Idol, you've already kind of figured out who you need to be to try to get on that show. So you have a calculation versus a calculation. It's hard in any endeavor, particularly creative, to have a pure state. You know, like, you know, boy found in the woods, but he's got this amazing voice. How would he sing? You know, part of the intellectual construct is how we arrive at ideas. So what you have is a quickly evolving set of things that you could argue has devolved. So, for example, you have creative breakthroughs like a band like Pantera or Nirvana or the Beatles, and everybody goes, "Oh, I'll do that." And styles that are easily imitatable are more likely to become popular. So certain bands of my generation were easier to copy, or the voices were easy to copy. You notice no one could copy my voice, pretty much. So you didn't hear that influence in the music, but you heard people copying other people's voices. So the things that are most easily assimilatable, if that's even a word, become part of the structure. So if the audience rewards the lack of ingenuity, well, if you're on the sidelines and you're watching it happen, the path of independence, it's just who am I? I'm an individual. I'm going to have to forge my own path, which Nicole and Jeff and Mike all did long before they met me. It's too hard. It's actually easier just to get in the train and just ride like everybody else. So because this generation and the past couple generations have rewarded that imitation, it's a quickening to where it's like art imitates life, life imitates art, to where you can't separate anymore. And then the journalist can't separate, and the audience doesn't separate. So if you actually stand up and say, I just want to do my music. You don't like it, get the fuck out, right? People are like, whoa, dude, that's so crazy. What are you doing? This is so weird. Like, can't you just get along? So I don't think you can blame any one force, but the greed, the falling out of the music business, and the audience's willingness to go along with being basically manipulated. And I would point to something similarly versed, which is the political campaigns in America. You watch them give a speech or you watch them debate. What is the next hour or 2 hours about? How well they manipulated the audience or the undecided voters. Not how pure was their message, how integral it was. Well, boy, he should have given that a little straighter, because he had it, you know, those people would be more likely to vote for him. So you actually have cultures now that are celebrating inauthenticity. Inauthenticity to the degree of, hey, you're really good at faking that. Now you take somebody like me, right, who's a freak by nature, you know what I mean? I'm just different, right? You take me and you put me in a system like that, what am I supposed to do? Right? Because to be myself is to actually be counter to a system that's rewarding. When I kind of try to like lean it a little bit, like, well, I'll just try to get along, my audience goes, we don't like you like that. If I go too far over here, they're like, oh, that's too weird, dude. Rat in a cage, dude. So it's weird because I've had the experiences of making avant-garde music that's been completely embraced by the mainstream, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. I was even talking to journalists today. It's like, when you actually listen to a song like Bullet with Butterfly Wings, it's surprising it became a single. The lyrics are very edgy. The music's very dark. It's not Pro Tool the shit. It's, you know, us playing, and there it is, and it became a big hit song. So if I've done that, and then I do something else, and he goes, that's too weird. You know? It's weird to me because I've had the experience of actually being rewarded for being different than. But in the past 17, 20 years, I've watched culture reward more and more posers. This is very difficult. At some point, and I don't think it has anything to do with me or us, the audience is going to have to become more sophisticated. And my guess is it's very similar to the way I view the world in a spiritual terms. 80% of the world is asleep. They do not process reality beyond what's on the fucking television. They don't want to. They really don't want to. How many times have you sat at a table with somebody and you brought up kind of a more sophisticated argument? Somebody in your family leans back and goes, I don't want to deal with that. That's just like, or what am I going to do? What am I going to do about the people over there killing each other? Not my fucking problem. I don't think it's pure apathy. It's just like, it's a lack of empowerment. So if you live in your little bubble dream, well, and John Lennon spoke very eloquently about these types of things long before I did. So the other 20% is constantly up against this 80 that goes, I don't fucking care what's on TV today. So that's the difficulty, and that will always be the difficulty. So I think it's a great question, but it's a question that in a way can't be answered because everybody has their own opinion. One guy's rebel is my poser. Because if you go too far, they actually can't understand the rebellion because they actually don't understand what the person's rebelling against. The things I've been rebelling against for over 20 years are only now being understood. Which is strange, because I've been rebelling the whole time. So I actually look kind of smart in hindsight, because people could see where I started rebelling way earlier than maybe people thought I needed to. It certainly wasn't good for my musical career, but it was good for my heart. That's why I'm still here and able to make music, and able to make music with great musicians, because we get that. And every time we walk into a situation, we have to encounter, in essence, a lesser version of what we're capable of. And we have to constantly be told that somehow that too much is not enough, which is really weird. It's like a woman who refuses to get plastic surgery and all her friends are like this at 55. You know, if people around her don't appreciate the fact that she's aging gracefully, well, you see, it inverts itself. So a band like Smashing Pumpkins sticks out precisely because we won't go along with the inversion.